Mike Wall. Welcome back to another episode of the Agent Revolution podcast presented by Mike Wall Live, the place where we deconstruct the biggest challenges facing today's real estate agents so that they can build a sustainable, profitable, but most of all, fulfilling real estate business. I'm pumped today. I've got my man, Daniel David. We're going to show you how to compete and beat the iBuyers at their own game. But before we do that, don't forget to check out. In fact, we've got 8 hours. I hope you've actually gone to the site and taken a look at this. We've got 8 hours of, and this is free, guys, no strings attached. Absolutely free training, 8 hours worth. Go to mikewalllive.com and you can start anytime. Start now, start tomorrow, start next month. But go there, check it out, make sure register and sign up for the classes. Now to the show. Daniel, you ready to rock and roll, my man?
Michael, do this.
Let's do it, baby. Let's do it, man. So, hey, every time I start the show, I think everybody knows by now. I love to get a quick read on my guest, right, man? And usually to do that, right there, everybody's got a story and everybody's is different, man. So I think it kind of sets the tone for helping the audience get to know you. So,
okay,
if you don't mind, share with us a little bit about your background, man. How you got to where you're at.
Well, let's see. When I was born, no, I'm just playing. Okay, so. Let's fast forward a little bit. So I was in the Army and stationed in Heidelberg, Germany, and I was quickly identified as someone that could be a DJ. And this came from my high school days. It was a lot easier to sneak into the club than it is now, so I feel sorry for this generation. So anyway, head DJ there was like, hey, you want to play music? And I was like, sure. And so I know this, like, well, what does this have to do with real estate? So let's fast forward. So out of the Army, I started my own business, and then, got married, had a kid. My kid started school, and he's like, Dad, can you come pick me up from school today? Well, unfortunately, I started focusing on weddings, and we all know that weddings is not a one-day affair. So unfortunately, I had meetings. I had to go to rehearsals. I had the actual event itself. And my son said, Dad, when can you stay home and spend some time with me?
Oh.
And that was the dagger that if I could have quit that day, I would have. And I knew something needed to change. So I got into real estate. And I first got my start with KW and absolutely loved my time there. And then from there, that grew into another productivity coaching and training and being the tech guy with another national company.
Yeah.
And then I was looking for something bigger, and just so happened my mentor Larry White, I definitely want to give a shout out to Larry and the Team Disruptor group from EXP. Like, they said, well, why don't you come be a national coach on our team? And I was like, let's do it, man. Let's rock this out. So I joined EXP back in August of this year. So I'm still a newbie. And so I'm very excited about this new platform we're rolling out here in Central Kentucky.
Absolutely, man. I love it. I love it. I love it, man. Yeah, and there's so much changing in our industry right now. I was watching a video this morning about, how Gary Keller stepped down from, the president position at Keller Williams. And there's just a lot of different stuff going on right now. There's a lot of changes in our industry, and most of them are, in fact, technology driven, right? And there's a lot of agents who, if they don't make some significant changes in their business, will not be able to compete in the coming years. And that's why I love doing this show, man, I know the people who are trying to get better, who are trying to grow, are tuning in to help educate themselves. And, those are the people we want to get this show in front of. And everybody knows about these iBuyers really at this point. And they're not really having much of an impact in our area yet, although I know Zillow Offers is just launched, I think, recently in Cincinnati, which is just south of where we're at. And we actually we do business in that market, but we're seeing it. The writing's on the wall, and I still feel fortunate enough in that regard to be able to do shows like this to be able to help prepare people, right, for our market. And so not only today is my man, Mr. Daniel, going to help you prepare, right, for those of you who are not dealing with the iBuyers yet, but also compete with those of you who are dealing with the iBuyers. And Daniel, real quick, man, just so for those people in the audience who don't know what an iBuyer is, tell us a little bit about that. What is that?
Yeah. So and again, thanks for setting this up, Mike. I definitely appreciate this. So for those that don't know, the iBuyer is a company. It doesn't have to be like a Zillow. And, you know, everyone's worried about Zillow when they really should be worried about Amazon, because Amazon can really do some damage. However, have you seen those signs that we buy houses for cash on the spot? Well, those are a form of iBuyers.
Yeah, let me show you something real quick.
Yeah. So, you know, everyone's looking for options and ways to compete. And then you have, you know, discount brokers. You've got everyone that's willing to cut their commission. And, you know, it's like, well, I don't want to cut my commission. How do I compete with this? And so at the end of the day, it's all about how you can have options for the seller and still get paid a full commission.
Yeah, it's a good point, man. And I love that. It's like, why wouldn't you offer that in your suite of products? And I was just I was holding this up because I have a business partner named Jay Toms who we do this too, right? We've been doing this for years. Investors have been doing it for years, right? I'm an investor myself. Yeah, I've got 4 doors myself. I love investing in real estate. So, you know, and investors are just looking to pay pennies on the dollar. Not every investor is looking to pay pennies on the dollar. The majority of them are looking to get a deal. And, you know, with the iBuyer, they lured these sellers in, and they're like, oh, well, you're going to save on commission. Well, what they don't tell you is all the fees that they have on the very back end of things. And so you end up giving away like 15% of your equity in your home, where if you would have just listed with an agent to begin with, we'd save you so much more. Right.
And they're saying, well, oh, we're new. Well, no, you're not. You've been around for years. So you're just changing the way that you do things and taking that system and putting it online. Yeah. And that's what real estate agents need to know. And if they can arm themselves with that knowledge, they can beat an iBuyer every single time.
Yeah. And really, you know, that you're right. It's investors have been doing it for probably 100 years, man, right? With bandit signs and sending out mailers and really what technology companies are doing to kind of take it to another level is, you know, they have billions of dollars in venture capital that they can put behind it and package it with a really nice bow on top, you know, and they've got really good websites. They've got really good customer service as it relates to doing marketing and generating leads, right? And so, so that would be, you know, my caveat, especially for investors, right? Investors would also be a group of individuals or professionals that would be worried about iBuyers too, because, you know, in many cases, like he who does the best marketing is he who can capture the audience, and whoever can capture the audience can capture the mind share. And when you capture the mind share of the consumer, you know, you can be really dangerous with that. And so, you know, you're right. While iBuyers have been around for years and years and years and years, they're still going to be a force to be reckoned with. And that's why I'm so glad, you know, you're here today to help share your story about how agents can start to prepare to deal with these iBuyers. And essentially, guys, like what Daniel was saying, is an iBuyer will come in, right? And you've seen Zillow, Open Door, OfferPad. You know, they have websites where, you know, there's basically you enter in your address and you submit, right? And then they will give you an offer within like 24 hours or whatever. And it looks really good on paper, right? David, or Daniel, when it comes in, it's like, it says like it might be a fairly good offer, but what they don't understand is, you know, you might lose anywhere from 11 to 14% of your equity in fees, correct?
Yeah. So they're charging these like low commissions. They entice these sellers and, hey, we're going to reduce the commission and what you're paying on the front end. And then when you actually start signing the paperwork on the back end, there's all these extra fees that are involved that raise the price and take away from the equity. And at the end of the day, you know, it's all about what the seller can net. And so that's where I've shifted my focus and just like completely started focusing not on how much are we going to list it for, how much do you need to net from the sale of this property in order to continue on with the next chapter.
Yeah. So talk to me about how you guys are doing that right now, man, because I know that's
so we actually have 5 different ways that we can help them out. Okay. So the first way is we can we actually have a group of like over 50 hedge fund investors. I'll be honest with you, Mike, like over half of them are going to lowball it just like you and I would as an investor.
Yeah.
But there are a handful of them that will offer at market value or just slightly under. And what they're going to do is they're going to turn them into rentals for like the next 10 years. And the cool thing is when we partner with them, then they allow us to represent them on the buy side. When they're done with the property, then they say, okay, we're done. We're ready to turn it. Here, have this listing. Thanks for helping us out. And then as a way to say, hey, thanks for helping us get this property, and they send us another transaction. So we end up taking 3 out of 1 for a cash offer deal. And, you know, if the cash deal makes sense to the FSBO, who's not going to say, no, you can't bring me a cash offer?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just one way.
Okay.
Second way, we can do traditional listing. Everybody knows what that's all about. The third way is online offers. And so can we role play a little bit, Mike?
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay. So you're a FSBO. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello. Is this the owner of 123 Main Street?
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir. I saw your house was listed for sale on Zillow. Is this still available?
It is. Yes.
Okay, great. Tell me about it.
Sure. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath ranch style home with a full finished basement and a 1-car detached garage.
Okay, awesome. And I'm sorry, I don't have your home pulled up right in front of me. What was the price on that again?
We've got it listed at $169,900.
Okay, $169,900. And I'm sorry, what was your name?
My name's Mike.
Mike, I'm Daniel, and I'm with EXP. So I just wanted to find out, if I brought you a cash offer, would you pay 3% finder's fee?
Sure.
Okay, great. Notice how I said finder's fee and not commission, because what do the FSBOs not want to pay? A commission. So why would I ever mention the word commission to that FSBO? So, Mike, if I brought you a cash offer again, what would you would be willing to accept?
We're trying to get $169,900 out of it.
Okay, $169,900. Okay, so just to let you know, I work with over 50 hedge fund investors. I'm gonna be honest, so you know, over half of them are going to lowball you, but there are a handful that I think could potentially get right at market value or slightly below. If I can bring you a cash offer at a price you're willing to accept, is that agreeable to you?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, great. So I need to stop by today. I need to take about 25 to 30 photographs. I need to get you to fill out a property condition report. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, great. I can stop by today at 3 or, you know, and then set the appointment and go on so you all get it. So then when I'm there, I can let them know that, hey, if that offer doesn't work for you, I have a system in place that can get your home sold in 14 days. We're not even going to put a lockbox on the property. We'll get you the highest and best property, and it's not going to cost you any additional fees. So either way, we're going to get your home sold.
Yeah.
And so what we're doing is called an online offer. And so we already know that that they're willing to pay a 3% commission, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're doing is charging a buyer's premium. And so technically the only one that is going to decide how much they're willing to pay is the buyer, because they're the only ones at the end of the day that are writing a check. Mm-hmm. So, and I know a lot of you are going to say, well, hold on. How does this work? You know, isn't that an auction? Well, no, it's not. It's an online offer. We're not auctioning the property. We're offering you a chance to submit an offer on a property. So that's how we kind of get around the whole need that we have to have an auctioneer. And for those of you that say, well, no, we need an auctioneer. Well, guess what? We have auctioneers on our staff that can handle that whole process for them. So we do we prep the house for 10 days, and then we do what we call a mega open house. Now with COVID, it's kind of changed the way that we've done some things. So we've set up a calendar link. They go on, they register for their time slot, and then we send them all the information so they have it all in advance. And then once those slots fill up, then we extend it and open up some more time slots. And we have that go on all day Saturday and Sunday. So it's nothing for us to, you know, create a buyer frenzy and drive up the price of the house, because when buyers compete, the seller's always going to win.
Yep. So are you doing this just with for sale by owners?
We can do it with for sale by owners. We can do it with expireds. What about probate? You know, probate leads are great because they've got to sell their house quick because of you know, extenuating circumstances, and they want it done discreetly. So we can do that. We work with, you know, about 6 or 7 different areas, Mike, that we can service leads. And
are you, like, in your particular market, what market do you service, Daniel?
I service the Lexington, Kentucky area. Shout out to the Lexington, Kentucky people. Go Cats. So,
okay. So your market is probably very close to what ours is. I mean, I'm sure you have low inventory. Things are moving right away.
Inventory right now.
Yeah. What is the conversation like right now in the current market climate with for sale by owners when, in many cases, if the property's priced correctly and, you know, they've got an audience for it, it's going to sell on its own. And in most cases, what's the conversation like there?
Yeah, Mike, you know, and I'm very positive you're going to get an offer. What if we could get you more?
Yeah. Okay. So you're trying to create doubt, right?
Yeah. Because you know, how many buyers, like, for those of you that are working with buyers, you go and you show a buyer a home. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be in multiple offers, especially in this market. And then you're going around showing property after property, submitting offers, submitting your highest and best blind offer, which, you know, in this market, I don't understand why anybody would want to do that. And let me explain. So if we had a system that took the transparency away, I mean, not made it completely transparent, like we took away the highest and best blind offer, a buyer knew exactly how much they needed to bring to the table to buy the house. Is it fair to say that if it's a house they really want, a buyer's willing to pay just a little bit more to get it?
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing properties in our market go, you know, at least at asking price, but more often than not, over asking price, right? And sometimes $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 over in our small Midwest market here.
Yeah. And then the psychology comes in. So you get multiple people submitting offers. And are you really going to lose out on this house for over $500?
Yeah. Yep.
So it's a no-brainer. So they use their own psychology, and it works beautifully for the seller, because at the end of the day, the seller nets more money. They're happy. They're ecstatic. Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, the neighbors are like, how are you doing this? How are we getting that many people into an open house? Because we have this system all across the country. So I'm just one of like 17 coaches on our team, and we've got like 560 plus agents nationwide. We have Robert, who is like the master guru who helped develop this online offer system. He has this thing down to a science. Like you submit the calendar link for your appointment time. He sends you all the information on it. And then, like, he had, even with COVID, like 100 plus at the open house.
Yeah. And so how are you managing to get 100 people into an open house? Like, what is, tell me the plan or the strategy behind that, how you're making that happen.
Well, it's called the psychology of pricing, Mike. So if we know, according to the National Association of Realtors, that if we price the property at market value, we're going to get about 60% of the buyers. If we price it 15% above market value, that number drops to 35, and then so on and so forth, the higher it goes. And then it works the opposite way when we go lower. So if we start the process low, then it creates a buyer's frenzy. Because if you've got a $300,000 property and the beginning offer starts at $240,000, whose house you're going to go see first if you have 2 identical properties, the $300,000 or the $240,000? Which one's going to attract more buyers?
Yeah, obviously, right, the $240,000. So walk me through the conversation with the seller, right? Because oftentimes we know sellers think, And most sellers, if we're honest, they carry a little bit of an ego, right? It's their property.
Yeah, exactly.
Spend all their money, remodeling the house. Why would we want to underprice it? Like, why don't we price it at market value? Like our house is worth 300. And so what's the competition like there?
I completely understand what you're saying, Mike. And so what's more important, where we start or where we finish?
Right, where we finish.
Yes. Okay. So we know by the National Association of Realtors from their market research that if we price it lower, then we are going to definitely have a lot more exposure to buyers. And it only takes one person to buy it at the end of the day. So before, and I forgot to mention this earlier, before someone can make an offer on our system, they have to be a completely 100% pre-approved buyer, not pre-qualified, pre-approved, before they can make an offer on our system. We're working with a lender right now that is able to pre-approve buyers in 15 to 20 minutes.
Got it. And
because
I love
underwriting in-house. So,
I hope you notepad, because I love the line that, asking the seller what's more important, where we start or where we finish. Because I mean, at the end of the day, that has to stop them in their tracks, right? I mean, it is always more important where you finish, right? And the reality of it is there's no risk for underpricing the property because the seller doesn't have to accept any offers that they don't want.
Right. That's the beauty of this system. They have complete control over it. They can either accept the offer, they can reject it, or they can negotiate it.
Yeah.
So the seller has complete control at the end of the day. So if they don't like any of the offers, guess what? Then we turn it into a traditional listing.
Sure.
It's a win-win. And so, we can basically, how it works traditionally. So let's say the seller needs to net 275. So we price it at 300. You take the 6% off. You got 1% closing costs. And so at the end of the day, they're going to land somewhere around 279.
Okay.
Well, if we take the online offers platform, then what we do is they can bid up the property. We end at 292. Let's say we come in below 300. Then the buyer's premiums add to the contract price. So the offer plus the buyer's premium equals the contract price. And then it continues just like a traditional listing that you all are normally used to working. The lender doesn't know that there's a buyer's premium. The underwriter doesn't know. The appraiser doesn't know. It's, at the end of the day, it's a normal traditional listing. There's still an inspection period. There's still an appraisal period, all this other stuff. It just allows buyers to compete.
Yeah. In Kentucky, are you doing a normal listing agreement for that?
No. Well, yes, we are doing a normal listing agreement with the caveat on the listing agreement, and there's some verbiage that we have to put into the MLS.
Okay.
Because if someone was to take this and be like, oh, well, I can go do this right now. Well, no, you can't, because if you price it low on the MLS and you don't get that higher offer, well, then you're stuck. And now you've just created a huge E&O complaint against you. And when that seller says, no, we're not going to accept that offer, you have to accept it if you put it into the MLS without the specific verbiage that we provide when agents join our team.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. And I would urge you to, obviously Daniel's in Kentucky and every state has their own laws. And so make sure, if you're looking into something like this, that it is commensurate with your state's local laws. And obviously reach out to Daniel. Daniel's a great wealth of knowledge, and their program that they offer is something that I'm sure Daniel will talk about here as well. Let me ask you this, Daniel, before we move into that though. Okay. Talk to me a little bit about let's say that, COVID is not a factor here, right? Talk to me a little bit about the mega open house and what that looks like and how you guys are getting people out to those.
So right now, Robert, who I mentioned earlier, holds the record for the open house. Highest number attended, 582 in one weekend. And then out of those 582, he had multiple transactions. So our goal is to take one listing and turn it into so many transactions that it just creates massive wealth and cash flow for the team members on our agent. So our goal is, like, right now in the process of building my team, I want to get to the point where my team works the open house, and then all I'm doing is going to setting appointments for them to go knock down.
Yeah.
And then, that's how you build true wealth in real estate. Because if we can flip the focus a little bit, because it's always been like, okay, you need to focus on listings. Yes, you do. And if you look at all the mega teams in your area and all the very successful people in real estate, they all focus on listings because it's all about listings, leverage, leads, right? The triangle from the MREA. So, so when you like flip that and take it one step further, where 80% of your focus becomes from referrals and 20% comes from listings, that is how you build true passive wealth. And if something happens to you, your income doesn't stop.
Sure.
And that's how you build a business instead of building a job.
Right. And so the mega open houses, though, Daniel, what are you guys like? So 589 people, obviously, that's extremely impressive.
Yes.
How is that happening though? Like what are you doing in order to get 589 people to an open house?
Well, we have a marketing system in place designed to, first of all, get the word out about it. So we do a photo shoot, we do a video shoot, we flood the Google algorithm to make sure those videos rank first. And then we also use social media like Instagram and Facebook to help promote those open houses.
Got it. Okay. All right. Cool, brother. It sounds really interesting, man. So if people are interested in implementing something like this in their own town, right? What do you recommend?
Well, first of all, they would need to set up an appointment with me, and then we can, kind of go from there and decide if the system's going to be beneficial to them or not.
Sure. No, that makes sense.
We already have the system set up in their area. They're just not aware about it. And so it might be beneficial to join an existing team that's out there, use the platform, don't reinvent the wheel. I mean, you can go pay extra for it if you want. I can tell you right now, it's not cheap to have the system. Or you can pick back off the team and work out a deal with whoever's running the site.
Okay, that makes sense, man. And how do people get in touch with you, Daniel?
Okay, so they can go to calendly.com/coach with Daniel. And they can book a time directly with me, and we can talk more about this, talk more about tools to increase their business, reduce costs, and have them get more leads.
Awesome, brother. Awesome, brother. Thank you so much, man. Well, as usual, I love sharing these stories week after week because I know this show is literally changing agents' financial lives, my own included. Do me a big favor. If you know someone that might enjoy the podcast, please, please, please share it with them. And if you like the podcast, please go to wherever you listen to podcasts, make sure and subscribe. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. And remember, you can get in fact, you got 8 hours right now of absolutely free business training, real estate business training over at MikeWallLive.com. Make sure, head over there, check it out. Daniel, thank you so much, man. It's been real, dude. I appreciate you coming on the show today.
Mike, thank you so much. I definitely appreciate your time. You are awesome. It is a blessing what you're doing for the real estate community, sharing your knowledge. So go check this guy out. Make sure that you follow, like the podcast, and give it a 5-star, and then, also like download the podcast. You can go back and listen to other episodes, right?
That's right, my man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Take care.